Hello, I'm looking forward to sharing with you today National Geographic Learning and Cengage's brand new 10th edition of Oceanography, an invitation to marine science by Garrison and Ellis. Oceanography was written to provide an interesting, clear, current, and comprehensive overview of the ocean sciences. Oceanography has been thoroughly student tested, and your students need not feel intimidated by the concepts. This edition of Oceanography has been revised to reflect the latest findings in the field and current events. So, what are the components that come with your adoption? Well, of course, you have your student textbook and digital access to MindTap. The teacher is also going to have their digital MindTap, as well as an instructor companion site that houses an image gallery and a MindTap asset description and breakout. They will also find Cognero, our online assessment suite. Here, teachers can build tests and homework assignments from the question banks. Students can also take these assessments online or even through your LMS. This book has been designed with ocean literacy guidelines firmly in mind. Our broad view of marine science is presented in 18 chapters, each freestanding, or nearly so, to allow instructors to assign chapters in almost any order they see appropriate. Notice also our inclusion of a very supportive appendix. Oceanography contains a vast amount of current research. This reflects the state of our fast-moving field of science. When one partners with National Geographic, the result means you have access to over 130 years worth of images, archival data, and diagrams. Throughout this program, you'll see those captivating photos that National Geographic is known for. Beautiful, thought-provoking images that will make the study of oceanography come alive for your students. Oceanography is central to understanding the current global climate change issues we are facing. With this in mind, the authors have included sections on global climate change, as denoted by this icon. Each chapter starts with a compelling image, and learning objectives will help your students focus on the key concepts that are most important to understand. In MindTap, students are also introduced to the contents via a media connection, which is a podcast or a video. Each chapter is broken into sections that will help your students master the content. Images, charts, and tables will make the textbook more visually appealing to better engage your students. Oceanography contains many opportunities for active learning and critical thinking. Thinking beyond the figure questions, get your students thinking about the aspects of key graphs, tables, and photos. The concept check questions are in many sections to help students retain some of the main points that they read. The How Do We Know boxes provide insight on how oceanographers have determined some of the key information described in the chapter. And Spotlights figures greatly enhance the program for increased clarity and accuracy of the content in each chapter. Additionally, the ever-popular section titled Questions from Students has been expanded to include brief discussions regarding topics of immediate interest. One of the features that sets us apart from other publishers is our partnership with National Geographic Explorers. And with such a partnership, National Geographic Explorers in the field of marine science have contributed to the content. Sections titled Insights from an Explorer provide commentary on the latest research and their experiences in the field. These men and women share their personal accounts of their research. At the end of each chapter, your students will find interdisciplinary connections. This feature is designed to profile specific issues that make it easy for students to appreciate how concepts from many scientific fields are essential to understanding the topics of oceanography. Chapter in Perspective gives a summary of what students learned in the chapter with a preview of what's coming up next. Chapter endings also contain questions from students. The brief discussions address topics of immediate or controversial interest after a chapter. Terms and concepts to remember, as well as study questions, are also located at the end of the chapter. So now, let's take a look at MindTap and explore a number of its fantastic features. So here's the MindTap dashboard. On the left-hand side, you'll have your table of contents, and there's also a calendar icon, and teachers and students can use this to tap directly into assignments. On the right-hand side, you'll see a recent activity scores where teachers can go in and see what's going on in their classroom. On the far right-hand side, you'll see the Mind apps. And these are all supportive apps that give you settings such as the voice quality of your read speaker, access to flashcards, extra homework, and even our study hub, which is a wonderful asset in this program. Teachers will also utilize their progress app. As we take a look at the table of contents, notice that it begins with a course orientation to really get your students up to speed and understand exactly how they are going to utilize this platform. A few tools that the teachers have is the ability to hide content. You'll notice that Chapter 5 is missing. I can very easily make a determination to hide content, maybe that we're not studying at the time or that I don't want the students to see until later. Also, I have an edit button, and this is what allows me to go in and make assignments. I can make my due dates. I can even change the location of content in my table of contents. I can add additional content into my learning path, and anything that I can place into Google Drive or OneDrive. I can also add a web link activity or even a video. As we open up Chapter 1 and take a look, you'll begin to notice as you navigate through all of the chapters that they all have a very consistent layout. Let me also point out at the end, under additional resources, you'll find 9 different appendices with lots of valuable information housed there. So now let's take a look at Chapter 1. You'll see that we begin with a pretest, and then students can begin their activities by doing a reading section. Students have access to yellow, pink, blue, and green, as well as being able to make post-it notes. And teachers also have the ability to highlight and make post-it notes in orange. And when they select orange, that content has now been pushed into all of the student books. Students also have a point of use vocabulary pop-up. When they click on a vocabulary word, we have the wonderful figures and graphics and illustrations. And I'd also like to point out the interactiveness in thinking beyond the figure and other feature boxes such as the concept check, where they ask the student the question, and after they have a moment to consider their answer, then they can determine quickly whether or not they have comprehended that material before they move on. Another feature that's absolutely wonderful is that students have a flashcard deck that they can access from the Mind apps. It's already set up for each chapter, but if students would also like to create additional flashcards and place in their deck, they can do that. They can simply highlight the section that they would like to become their definition. From the drop-down menu, select flashcard, type in the vocabulary word, and their card is now part of the new deck. Another feature for students and teachers is the read speak capability.
Earth is an ocean world. This is a book about the dominant surface feature of a poorly named planet.
They also have the options to control font size, and they can make bookmarks as they move through, and they'll utilize those later in the study hub. Teachers also have a special tool, their edit pencil. When teachers engage the edit pencil, insertion points will populate in their text. After selecting an insertion point, teachers now have the ability to, again, just like they can in the table of contents, to add content from Google Drive, OneDrive, a web link, or even a video. To add a video, they type in the keyword, make their selection, click continue. They can add content in line as well before and after the video, and then continue. And as you will see, that video has been added in line with the student content. Going back to our table of contents, now I would like to open up one of the concept animation quizzes for you. There are several different types of embedded videos. Students start their assignment, watch a video that includes closed captioning.
The scientific method usually goes something like this.
I'm going to eat this pizza for science.
Record your results.
Following that, then the students will answer their questions. One interesting feature is that students can check their work. Oftentimes, they'll give them solution suggestions or places that they can go look in the textbook so that they can restudy that material again. We also have a video quiz. This one looks a little different.
When you were a kid, you probably learned all about the water cycle. This water must be pretty old. If it just keeps getting recycled by a closed system on Earth, there's a chance it was sipped by Alexander Hamilton and...
Just for a little taste of that one. Next, we have the Study It feature, and here your students are going to find access to their flashcards and a media library which will house all of the videos that they have seen in this chapter. Then as they move into the application section, let's take a look at the conceptual learning activity from the teacher side. There'll be a series of questions that the students navigate through. And as they move through, again, they can have their work checked and they get explanations and opportunities to try again further. From the student side, if we open that same learning activity, once they have completed it, you'll see that the students have grading feedback. They can also see what they've done with it and review those attempts if they need to. And if there were comments from the teacher, they can access those as well. The next type of activity I'd like to share with you is oceanography in context. And here the students are going to analyze an article. And this article comes from the Gale site with a link. And they'll access this article. And after they read the article, then they can go back and answer the questions that have been provided. Now I'd like to just jump ahead for Chapter 3. In the Apply It section, there is yet another type of activity that your students can engage in with map analysis. Here your students are going to be able to interact and access the data maps found on ArcGIS. They will follow the directions and link directly to the map site, engage with the content, and they continue on with their assignment. Again, this will be followed up with questions. Those are just a few of the features and exciting interactive activities that your students can access. But now I'd like to take just a minute and share with you the teacher's gradebook. This is found in our Progress app. And upon opening it, you will see the upcoming activities as well as submitted activities. From here, you can extend due dates and adjust scores. You also have analytical capabilities. You can see time in course and the number of activities accessed by your students. This is for the class as a whole, but if you go into your gradebook, you can drill into individual students and see that same analytical data for individual students. Also, you can drill into a student's assignment, and you can also go in and see the student's work. You'll see that it gives you the feedback that the student received, and also if it gave them solutions or explanations as to why their answers were incorrect. And even if you use an LMS, you can still access this information while still utilizing the grade return function. So I hope you've enjoyed your tour through MindTap today. Thank you for spending some time with me today as I shared Oceanography, an invitation to marine science. We are confident that this program will excite and engage your students. We look forward to building our partnership with you. Know that you have our entire National Geographic Learning and Cengage team to guide and support you through all phases of your adoption process. Please reach out to your sales consultant if you have any further questions.